Hello again. Welcome back to my train room, everyone. And tonight I would like to follow up to my run last night of this K-Line Pacific. I want to talk a little bit about a good eBay experience because a lot of times you don't hear about those very often. People tend to focus more on negatives. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And I'm going to talk about why K-Line. So first, let's start with the eBay experience. So on March 18th, I'm at work and I get an alert for K-Line aluminum cars, and I jump right on it. I don't even pay attention. Uh, you know, do a lot of detail, and I buy these K-Line bi-level Santa Fe aluminum cars. And I couldn't remember which ones I already have. And anyway, I ended up getting home from work and ended up having them, contacted the seller. I said, hey, I apologize, but I bought these while I was at work. And I got home and I already have this set. I'm looking for the 4630S set. I'd already have the 4630Hs. Anyway, I told him I am interested in a few other items. If he'd be willing to refund me, I'd maybe make some other purchases. So he was cool, responded right away, refunded me, and I ended up purchasing 3 other items from him. So this K-Line K3310 5225, which 600. I know I can find it a little bit cheaper, but this one was pretty much mint in box, head shipper, owner's manual, everything, traction tires, still original in the box with the extras. And I found this mint Santa Fe Northern MTH Premier, and he had this B&O caboose. So I bought those 3 items for him instead. And by the way, he is Wadia A5998. He has a lot of transactions there with a good amount of positive feedback. So he did say if you go to his site and you find something you like, mention this video and he'll give you 5% off. And he lists a lot of stuff with best offer. So, that's always an option out there as well. He has a lot of good items on there listed right now. So anyway, I want to thank him for being so responsive, and my mistake, and he let me have my money back, and I was able to get some things that I really looked for. So why K-Line? Well, K-Line was ahead of its time, in my opinion. Meaning they had scale steamers that ran well, looked very detailed, and they were really good values. I was interested in this 5225 B&O for multiple reasons. First of all, this had cruise control in it, and with the cruise control, you can go in and set the number of speed steps according to how you want the engine to run. So if you want really precise running, you can set it to 256. If you're pairing it up with a Lionel TMCC locomotive that didn't run quite as good at the time, you could pair it up to 32 steps, and that like a TMCC engine when you're double heading. So it talks through it. It's really easy to program. And I really have enjoyed all of my K-Line engines that I've purchased that have the cruise control in them. And it's like a $120 upgrade at my local shop for a board if I want to upgrade one that doesn't have cruise. So this set came in at $849 back in 2004. And that was a special deal, because it was brand new tooling back then, and you received 5 B&O die-cast toppers and a smoking B&O caboose. Then in 2005, they jumped the price up to $11.99, which, by today's standards, for a scale steamer with 5 die-cast cars, which don't even make die-cast cars anymore, and a caboose, that's a pretty good deal. So here's the model here, and you can see the detailing on it is very, very good. And this locomotive is flawless. Was brand new in box. And one thing I wanted this locomotive for was I have a lot of the Lionel Legacy Pacifics, and this is a P5A Pacific, which is a slightly shorter Pacific. When you look it up online, even, it looks seemingly shorter than this guy here. This is a Chicago and Alton Pacific locomotive by Lionel. It was my first Legacy engine I ever purchased. And the tenders, very similar. The coal load's a little bit old school on the K-line, but the rear light is a cool add. This does not have that on it. But similar looking tender outside of this is flat, where this has an arched shape to it. But as far as the cab design, it's very much the same. It looks like where the length is lost is in this area here when you're comparing the two. And this one has different shaped domes on top, different headlight. Front end is obviously different. You have the eagle on the front of this guy. So, you saw it run last night. So very smooth running engine. It does have the more primitive sounds like I mentioned last night. But bang for the buck. I mean, like I said, 600 is a little on the high side, but I was all right with that because it had the shipper and everything. I mean, 3 years ago, I was buying like K-line scale steamers for $350, $400 on a pretty regular basis. And then COVID happened, and now the prices of everything have sort of gone up, unless you buy something that's in a little bit rougher shape. Because if you look, I mean, even now in today's world, to buy like a latest Lion Chief from Lionel, I mean, you're spending $600 for a Lion Chief that's semi-scale, when you can buy a scale K-line for about that price or less. The K-lines that tend to hold their value are the tank engines. Are usually $600 to $800 depending on which one it is. And then some of the scale Berkshires, which I've had the Lima Locomotive Works Berkshire and a Southern Pacific. Then I also bought this MTH Premier, and this is like right at the beginning of MTH scale locomotives, because this has a Seuss smoke unit in it, and this locomotive was brand new. Again, typically for a Proto 1 steamer, $450 would really be a good value, and this came in about $540. But again, he did me a favor, and it is mint condition, unrun, smoking. It was never on. I cannot find a flaw on this locomotive either, so that's super important to me, is finding those flawless locomotives. Actually better condition than a lot of my newer locomotives I've purchased here as of late. The only thing I will say is you just got to be careful when people think they're doing justice on some of these. I had a battery issue in one where I guess they thought that changing out the BCR or the regular MTH battery to a Duracell would preserve it, and it didn't preserve it. It actually corroded, and I ended up having to do some cleanup in there before I initially ran it. And you would think that would be enough to take out an MTH board according to most people, but no, it wasn't. Sound still works. Has just primitive MTH QSI sounds. And, you know, another beautiful locomotive. I'm not sure why they even would have changed the battery in it, because you could tell, I mean, not one track on the wheels, no tracks on the rollers. The traction tire is still intact. You know, no residue down in the smoke unit, other than just when I did this run to test it out. I did test out the SUSE smoke unit, and it does function. So tremendous value. I bought this with the idea of, hey, all right, I have $500 in it, upgraded to ProtoSound 2. I have a locomotive I paid $125 for right down here, that I could take the boards out of. And, you know, now I have a scale steamer for under $700 that's in mint condition, and you can't really get a deal like that much these days unless you know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy, or you find an estate sale where, you know, some families just dump in grandpa's collection or dad's collection and don't really know its real value, and a lot of people luck out and find those. I've only come across that maybe a couple times in the past couple years, because we have a lot of folks that have that market on lockdown around here, train shops that just have connections from years and years and years. So you usually got to go in there once they buy that estate sale and try to get your deal that way. So there's a couple whys on behind K-Line. Then again, check out the eBay page if you're looking for a seller that seems like he has some integrity, and he has varying degree of items from, I saw legacy locomotive on there tonight, all the way to post-war stuff. So we might have something for everyone to check out. And, you know, just keep collecting and buying. And, you know, my next video from the collecting series is going to be on one of my worst eBay experiences ever that happened recently, and one of the craziest experiences that I've ever come across so far. But, you know, nothing surprises me in this world today. So, but I just figured you might get a kick out of the story. So until next time, I will talk to you later, and thanks for checking out my channel.